quiet town, a seemingly ordinary farmhouse, and behind its doors, one of humanity's darkest secrets. Edward Gein, Wisconsin's mild-mannered farmer, was seen by his neighbors as just a weird but harmless guy. That is, until that fateful day. On a cold November day in 1957, the disappearance of a store owner brought the police to Gein's door, unveiling what would become America's most chilling true crime story. When the officers stepped inside, they encountered not just a murder, but a mind-numbing collection. Bowls made from human skulls, chairs upholstered with human skin, and face masks hanging on the walls. Grab a coffee and sit back. Now, we will uncover the sinister face behind that ordinary appearance and embark on an unforgettable journey into the dark corridors of the human mind. Edward Theodore Gein was born on August 27, 1906 in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. When he was about 8 years old, his family moved to the town of Plainfield, approximately 55 miles away, where they bought a farm. This move was a significant turning point in young Ed's life, as it condemned him to an even more isolated existence. Ed's mother, Augusta, was an extremely devout, strict and oppressive woman, obsessed with protecting her son from the sins of the world and especially from women she deemed unchaste. She completely cut him off from social life. Augusta ran a grocery store and was the primary breadwinner for the family, which further strengthened her authoritarian position at home. Ed's father, George, was an unemployed, passive man with an alcohol problem who lived in his wife's shadow. Augusta constantly preached to her sons, Ed and Henry, that women were sinful and devilish creatures, and that sexuality was the greatest sin. In her view, she herself was the only sacred and pure being in the world. These toxic and fanatical indoctrinations created a distorted perception of reality in Ed's mind. The farm became both a prison and his only refuge. At school, he was an introverted, shy, and socially inept child. He couldn't blend in with other children and was constantly left alone with his mother's frightening sermons and strict rules. This toxic family environment laid the groundwork for the horrific crimes he would later commit, as a pathological darkness gradually sprouted in his mind. The 1940s became a period of consecutive losses and tragedies for Ed Gein. First, he lost his father, which was a significant shock for him. Then, his brother Henry, who had begun to oppose their mother's oppression and was Ed's only supporter within the family, died in a suspicious fire. Ed's strange calmness during the fire and his lack of effort to put it out were both unsettling. Furthermore, Henry's face and body showed signs of blunt force trauma. However, the ultimate devastation came with the death of his mother in 1945. Having lost the only stable figure in his life, Ed completely psychologically collapsed. For the 12 years following his mother's death, the townspeople knew him only as a strange but harmless individual. Yet these years were the darkest period when a terrifying transformation took place in Ed's mind and his deviant ideas matured. On November 16, 1957, the investigation into the disappearance of Bernice Warden led the police to Ed Gein's farm. When Sheriff Arthur Schley and his team encountered Warden's body hanging upside down in the shed, they realized they were not dealing with just a murder. The interior of the house was a complete nightmare. As the police moved step by step, they made shocking discoveries. In the kitchen, they found bowls made from human skulls and kitchen utensils fashioned from bones. In the living room, they came across a terrifying object assembled from human bones and chairs upholstered in human skin. In the bedroom, the most chilling finds awaited them. A woman's skin suit, a vest made from a rib cage, a collection of vulvas, and masks made from dried human faces. Every room held a new fear, a new disgusting discovery. A large part of Ed Gein's horrifying collection consisted of corpses he stole from cemeteries. At night, he would enter graveyards, open the graves of recently buried middle-aged women, and bring the corpses to his farm. He would conduct detailed anatomical studies on these corpses, skillfully skinning them and removing their bones. His goal was to create a woman's skin suit to physically inhabit his mother's body. This deviant project had become an obsession for him. However, over time, the corpses from graveyards began to suffice no longer. On December 8, 1954, he killed bar owner Mary Hogan. He took Hogan's body to his farm, making her a part of his collection. His final victim was Bernice Worden, whom he killed on November 16, 1957. He shot Worden in her hardware store, brought her body to the farm, strung her up upside down like his other victims, and removed all her internal organs. Ed Gein's arrest sent shockwaves through American public opinion. In the courtroom, his calm and ordinary appearance defied expectations.
Would you enjoy it while you were doing it?
That's the worst part of it. I really didn't think. I knew better, restless.
When you dig these graves up, you were kind of in a haze too, is that it?
That's what I could do, just how you look at it.
And then one time you said you kind of realized what you were doing and you covered her up without taking anything.
That's right.
What would you do with the sexual parts then?
I laid them in a box, that was the end of it.
And what would you do with the head?
That must have been taken from reading about in these magazines and everything. Taking the flesh off like a headhunter.
3 different psychiatrists concluded that Gein was diagnosed with schizophrenia and had lost his connection with reality. The court found Gein not guilty by reason of insanity and sent him to the Central State Hospital in Wisconsin. He spent the remaining 27 years of his life in this mental hospital. He was known as a compliant patient there, spending his time painting and gardening. He was strictly forbidden from working with leather, bone, cutting tools, or any handicraft materials. While Ed Gein was in the hospital, he became a unique examination opportunity for FBI agents and criminal psychologists. Researchers regularly interviewed him to understand how the mind of a serial killer works. In these interviews, Gein explained his own deviant thought processes. This information was used as a reference point to better understand the psychological profiles of similar deviant killers from the past, such as Albert Fish. Ed Gein's story became ingrained in the DNA of American horror culture. It directly inspired some of cinema's most unforgettable characters. Norman Bates in Psycho, an obsessive killer who assumes his mother's personality, bears clear marks of Gein. Leatherface from The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a character who wears masks of human skin and lives on an isolated farm, was directly inspired by Gein. Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, with his obsession for making a suit from women's skin, clearly references Gein. This cultural impact showed that Gein's story was not just a criminal case, but also left deep marks on the collective subconscious. When Ed Gein died of cancer on July 26, 1984, he left behind a complex legacy. On one hand, a tragic childhood and deep trauma. On the other, unspeakable crimes. The story that began on that ordinary farm in Wisconsin has been etched into our memories as a chilling example of how a human can transform into a sinister form under the wrong conditions. For more videos like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm SIMURG. See you in the next video.